subscribe. Darling Radio. Watch and subscribe.
All right, let's get Red Container. All right. Let's get Red Container. Red, what's up, man?
Hey Tariq, how you doing?
I'm good, Red. What's going on with you? Are you Irish?
No, I'm Dominican.
Uh-oh. Uh
I'm a foundational white Dominican.
oh. Uh-oh.
My ancestors arrived in 1492.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Where from a different planet? Where they come from?
they came from Spain.
Right. Well, those were the colonizers. So,
Yeah, yeah.
but you're not Dominican. But where you from for real?
No, I'm Dominican. Yeah, soy dominicano.
Oh, well, say something.
I'm a white Dominican. Soy dominicano de
Say,
Baitoa.
how are you this afternoon in Spanish?
¿Cómo estás en este tarde?
Okay, yeah, it's kind of there a little bit. So, how long you been in New York?
I've been in New York for approximately like 15 years.
Got it. Got it. Okay. So,
I'm originally from Miami though.
oh, okay. Okay. But you know, a lot of y'all classify yourselves as white. So, you guys are technically white, but it's okay.
Oh no, I'm a white Dominican. I'm the minority over there.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, what's on your mind?
No, I just wanted to tell you that you don't have to have all this hate in your heart, all
Hate?
this resentment. You don't have to be resentful.
Slow,
The past is the past.
slow down. What if I said resentful? I've been pretty calm and cool, and I've just been here giving history scholarship. I haven't, I haven't said anything hateful. I've been here reciting history. This is a history class right here. So, where's the hate?
No, you're just cherry picking history, though.
Really? Am I? How? Please explain. I don't want to do that. Please correct me. What did I cherry pick that was incorrect?
Well, first of all, you said that rednecks came from the term of Irish people working on plantation. No, the word redneck came from when the West Virginia coal miners were on strike, and they used to wear red bandanas around their neck to indicate that they're part of the strike and that they were workers. That's where the word redneck came from.
No, because there were also terms like red legs too, and that came from their skin getting burnt from working in the damn fields. All right. And why would redneck transfer into just a hillbilly low class white person? That's what a redneck is. A redneck is technically a low class white person, and that's what an indentured servant was considered. So that makes more sense than people wearing a red bandana around their necks.
No, redneck was when the coal miners were on strike. They called them rednecks because they were working class white people, poor people out in West Virginia, striking for their rights to collectively negotiate for better terms and conditions and better wages and respect. But also, the Irish were also viewed as lesser when they came to the Americas as well. They weren't well respected as new immigrants. And they had their hardships, but obviously they didn't have it as hard as the Black Americans at the beginning.
They didn't.
Obviously,
Wait. Oh, wait, they didn't have it as hard.
no, no, they didn't. No,
Had it
no, the Black Americans had it the hardest.
right. They never had it as hard. Yeah, they got hazed. They
Yeah, they got hazed. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, but it ain't the same. Yeah, you got mistreated, but you got paid for the shit. That's the thing.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you on that
Right.
part. Yeah,
We
I don't like it. I don't like. I just think that it's kind of cringe when Irish Americans try to put themselves in the same level as enslaved
right.
peoples in the Americas. Nothing gets as bad as being enslaved. Nothing.
Right. Because if it was so bad for them, nobody was stopping them from hopping on the ship going back to Ireland. Nothing was stopping.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. But I also want to bring up a point too. I want to bring up some awareness that you might not be aware of, but there's a lot of black truck drivers at the ports of Savannah, New Orleans, Charleston, in Virginia. They're being exploited. Their exploitation is coming from the fact that they're being misclassified as independent contractors. What these trucking companies do is that they convince black people to buy trucks, and they hire them as independent contractors, but they don't really treat them as independents. And it's just a scheme to save money and to make these black truck drivers eat the cost of business on behalf of their employers and have no benefits. They have no workers compensation, they have no paid sick leave, they have no paid no paid vacation. They're unable to collect disability or unemployment benefits because they're being misclassified as independent contractors. So if you really want to help the black community, I think that you should target black truck drivers because there's a lot of exploitation happening there,
Mhm.
and they're unable to form a union to defend themselves because the laws in this country is designed for employees to organize.
Right.
When you're an independent contractor, you cannot organize a union, so they're being exploited.
Got it. Okay. All right. But thank you so much. Thank you. All right. And by the way, that Virginia coal mine shit that happened like in like 1920s. So they were that Virginia coal mine thing he mentioned. That was in the 1920s, where they called them rednecks. The term redneck for your neck being red, that they were calling the white people in the South rednecks all the way in the 1800s. Had nothing to do with no damn coal mine strike. You see, that's what I'm saying. They got called rednecks because they were working. Those indentured servants worked in the fields, and their necks turned red. White people couldn't be out there in the sun like that. Your necks and your legs would turn red. It was a descriptive term. That's it. It was your neck got burnt from the sun. Yeah. That's how they can kind of see that you are a poor white person. They can identify you, and they see you have that red neck. They oh he's an indentured servant. So they kind of treated you a certain way. That's how they kind of knew you were Irish or something. That was an identifier. Yeah, you understand? You had a physical identifier making you an other. That's why they use rednecks and all that as a pejorative. So let's just understand history. Just got to put everything in the right context. Oh goodness. Yeah, and then the guy called up the Dominican guy talking about hate. But when we start telling the truth about history, how is that perceived as hate? We're correcting false narratives. That's not hate. I'm giving you history. Everything that I've said, family, y'all can verify what I'm saying. Y'all can look up, Google, whatever you need to look up, whatever mechanism you use to look up. I'm just bringing historic facts. And that's what we do. We have to clear things up because folks come around black folks and try to lie all the damn time. We don't let that happen no more. We this is why I love spaces like this. We bring together intellectual crowds who can debunk all of that nonsense. My good brother Robbie Blue, hop on in, sir.
Good evening, Flex. How you doing, man? You're really cooking, brother. Just to that previous gentleman, you know how you can debunk what he's saying. To your point, don't I would see a lot of portraits and even films depicting like upper class white women and white people with umbrellas,
Mhm.
and it wasn't raining outside. It was always looked down upon, right? To be out in the field. That's why even amongst us, when they play colorism, you have somebody who works in the house and somebody who works in the field. The same thing even applies to even the Latin American community. They look down on people who work out in the field, people who work out in the sun, because those their skin tone gets darker. So it's just common sense. They like to deflect and lie. And to the tethers, I was just thinking of something, man, that was a little comical. With this whole thing going on with Iran, because they want to correct people. They say we know it's called Iranians. Iranians. I said, okay, true. The Persians are Iranians, but whenever tethers deflect and they say they don't know where they're from, you'd be like, so where you from? I don't know, but I ran from Nigeria. I ran from Puerto Rico. I ran from Jamaica, and I ran from Mexico, and I ran from Philippines. That's all I gotta say.
Thank
Peace, my brother.
thank you, brother. Man. Oh, goodness. Man. Oh, goodness. We in the building. Shout out to everybody in here. Shout out to everybody in here. We got a lot of folks in here. Let's get some new faces in here. Let's get Shatina Dixon. Let's get Shatina Dixon in the building. Miss Shatina, hop on, dear.
Hi, hello.
Hey Shatina, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. I was just kind of here to just point out something. With the historian, I think her name was Unnatural.
Yeah.
I I didn't understand how she's supposed to be a historian, but she's sitting here denying our history to justify hers. Like, it was so disingenuous and so dehumanizing, because if you know history, then you know how we were treated and how we're still being treated. And I don't get how they expect empathy from us, but still sit there when we FBA sit here and talk about the stuff that goes on with us and how we're being treated at subhuman levels, and say, well, we were treated that way too. And then say we're divisive. Well, not we, but say you're divisive, but you're pretty solemn because you handle them really well, like you're cooking their asses. And it's like, why do you come up here and do that? Like, if somebody is correcting you, you should take that correction instead of trying to start conflict and tell somebody who's obviously more educated than you about their history. But you want us to listen full-heartedly about your bullshit. This is not Ireland. This is not Australia. Nobody cares. Like, we're talking about FBA stuff. This man allows you in his space, and you come up here and say we're the problem, but we're only the problem where we're talking about things that's affecting us. What does Ireland have to do with America
Mm,
and how FBAs were treated?
hmm good point, beloved. Thank you, dear. See, the thing is, they bring up that Irish thing. Well, I'm Irish and I was treated bad too. That's a code word to say, yeah, you don't deserve any justice. What they're trying to say, yeah, stop talking about reparations. Because we were all mistreated. I was enslaved too. I'm not complaining. I got over it. So you get over it too. That's really what the messaging is, family. And no, you're not going to get away with that because the Irish did get paid. They got freedom dues. Mr. Davinsky, you can sit here and put your gestures up. Y'all got freedom dues. Y'all asses got paid. And then you got led into whiteness. Y'all were able to create these unions so y'all can start practicing anti-black racism against us. So we ain't the damn same. You're not going to play that game at all. We're going to put it all in the right historic context. That ain't hate. The truth is not hate. Jamie, let's get Jamie. Jamie, hop on in. Oh, Jamie bounce. Jamie must have got in on the Finster account. Okay. Shout out to everybody in here. Y'all give me a retweet. We got a lot of folks in here. Y'all give me a retweet. Everybody. Well, listen, you know what? The Diddy trial, they're doing the closing arguments. Have they done the closing arguments with the Diddy trial? Yeah, the prosecution, they rested their case. Family, I think Diddy might just be walking. Diddy might just get to walk, as he should. As he should. Yeah, I think this case was bogus from the beginning. Um, Diddy, he didn't, the defense, they didn't put nobody on the stand. And usually that's a good sign. The defense, when they don't put nobody on the stand, that means they know that they kind of got something going. You got a win going. So you don't want to mess your win up. If you're already winning, the prosecution, they did a horrible job. Let's be real. The prosecution did a horrible job of presenting their damn case. A horrible damn job. And not only that, right before they're going into jury deliberation, the prosecution actually dropped some of the charges. Y'all know about that? Let me read something from the Daily Beast here. It says Diddy prosecutors dropped several charges before closing arguments. The government is dropping some of their charges against Sean Diddy Combs. In an effort to streamline the jury's instructions, the prosecution has dropped the kidnapping charge based on allegations he kidnapped his ex, Cassie, after a beating, as well as his former assistant, Capricorn Clark. They dropped the attempted arson charge, saying that he blew up Kid Cudi's car. They dropped the aiding and abetting sex trafficking, which would require a co-conspirator, which the prosecution did not provide. But they said the core charge of sex trafficking will remain based on Combs' alleged coercing of his girlfriends into, quote, freak offs, as with um, every other charge of transportation to engage in prostitution and racketeering. The move suggests that the prosecution has doubts that it sufficiently proves some of the allegations of the case to the jury. Holmes' defense rested its case on Tuesday. On Thursday, closing arguments will begin. So listen, now, Diddy might walk, which he should. This shit was bogus. This case was bogus, bogus, bogus. It was bogus, ladies and gentlemen. And he might walk. It's very interesting to see how this thing is going to go down. There's a few reasons why he might walk. They dropped 3 serious charges. And that's going to have the jury question the credibility of the entire case. Though the defense, boy, when they do their close, boy, they better drill that shit in. That shows that the prosecution knows that this shit was weak. So they need to drill that into the jury's mind. Also, lack of co-conspirators for the aiding and abetting. Yeah? There was no co-conspirator. So that weakens the whole large racketeering narrative that really hinges on controlled, coordinated criminal enterprise activity, which it wasn't. Yeah, him just having freaky sex with some dick hungry ass exotic chicks, that's not, that ain't trafficking, man. That ain't trafficking. There's no physical or forensic evidence tying him to no crimes. Yeah. Just freak off tapes. And they just basically shit he talked about in his music and videos. Also, potential witness credibility issues. You know, this Capricorn chick and Cassie, you know, they faced credibility challenges. There was a lot of inconsistent things here. They're playing recordings of her and texts of her asking to be freaked off. She's like, when the next freak off? When is such and such gonna pee on me? That ain't coercion. She was begging for some damn pee. Come on, man. It was some freaky ass exotic bras who's trying to get a bag. That wasn't no trafficking. There's no evidence of intent for sex trafficking. To convince somebody to convict them on sex trafficking, the prosecution, you got to show intent to coerce or profit from the sex acts. If the relationships were basically presented as consensual, and there's no evidence he profited from forced participation in freak-offs. Yeah? So that was an overreach on the RICO charges. You're trying to paint a criminal enterprise. There is, listening to the evidence, it's just no criminal enterprise. Having some dudes come in here and smash this broad, that ain't no criminal enterprise. And she like banging different dudes. That was connected with Diddy. That's why she got with his trainer. Come on now, shit. So that made her look real funny style. She like hopping from dick to dick. She's up here with the Diddy got her a trainer. Now she's with the trainer now. So that don't look good on her behalf. You know? So yeah, this is the thing. It was consent. These were consent in relationships. These people were adults. There was no coercion, no trafficking elements. There was no, come on, dude. Yeah, they could be morally questionable and all of that, but no. And then people try to bring up where he was whooping on Cassie in the hotel. But yeah, this wasn't a domestic violence case. Yeah, if this were a domestic violence case, yeah, he would be guilty of domestic violence and, you know, got a domestic violence sentence. But see, they wanted to make it bigger than what it was and do a whole RICO thing, and that's not what it was. This is not a sex trafficking thing. You see, and the burden to prove it still remains on the government. You know, the standard is beyond a reasonable doubt, and the jurors are left with a lot of doubt. So this is going to be very interesting. It's going to be very, very interesting.
I can dig it. I'm on my way.
Where you going, Rootwork Jones?
There's some musty suckers on the streets. I got to go handle that. I got to split, baby. Can you dig it?
When you need to clean the stank off the streets, you don't call your mama. You call Rootwork Jones. Rootwork Jones is a stone-cold dude that keeps the stanky suckers shaking in their boots.
Listen up, chumps. I'm looking for Dolomus. Can you dig it?
Rootwork Jones is getting down to the nitty-gritty, taking on the mustiest sucker in the city.
Dolomust is my name, and staying good and musty is my game. Where is Rootwork Jones?
This is a super soul brother getting rid of the stank. And you can for sure take that to the bank.
Take that, you musty jive turkeys.
When Rootwork Jones is not dealing with drama. He finds time to deal with foxy mamas.
Why don't you come on over here and give me some of that root work, sugar?
Root Work Jones. He's bold. He's bad. And he's keeping the suckers musty mad. Root Work Jones coming to a theater near you. Go to rootworkstyle.com.